more heavy rain hits the UK, leading to hundreds of flood alerts. Nottinghamshire is worst hit as downpours fall on ground already saturated. Good evening. Since September, 8 storms have buffeted the UK, bringing at times strong winds and torrential rain. And today, parts of the country have once again experienced disruptive weather with hundreds of flood alerts and warnings in place. There's a Met Office yellow warning stretching from Cornwall to East Anglia, with heavy rain falling in some places on ground that's already saturated, meaning there's a chance of localised flooding. And a major incident has been declared in Nottinghamshire. Our correspondent Dan Johnson has the latest.
Storm Henk may be gone, but it's certainly not forgotten. This is what it left behind in Nottinghamshire, where a major incident's been declared for the flooded villages of the Trent Valley. River levels are still rising here and could pass records set more than 20 years ago.
It is similar levels to that of 2000, so it's that serious, and we must ask people to be aware and stay safe.
Flooded roads are causing problems and making it harder for people to evacuate. In places, it's got difficult to tell what's the river, what's the canal, and what's supposed to be dry land. The yellow warning for heavy rain covers most of the southwest, the southeast and parts of the Midlands. In Wiltshire, rivers are on the rise again.
The sandbags are still out because these properties are at such a risk. You can see the flood defences are in place because they are vulnerable here, right next to the River Avon. And yesterday, this area was entirely flooded, so the level has dropped. But with more rain expected into the early hours of tomorrow morning, the threat is it could all get worse again.
The river level was up probably to the second step.
The basement of Daniel's shop was already soaked yesterday.
And this has happened before?
Yeah, I mean, last year I was advised that there wouldn't be much flooding here at all.
And another 2 or 3 centimetres of rain is expected tonight. The flood warning here is one of more than 200 across England.
I'm just worried about the river rising, really.
I live slightly up the hill. If I lived further down the hill, I'd be slightly concerned.
Good place
if not very concerned.
What was once in a 100-year event is once in whatever, once a year or something.
Do you think we should be doing more to adapt to that?
To be honest, I don't know what is being done.
It's difficult to get around, even for those who know the land best. This is Gloucestershire. And these cows and horses won't be roaming far on their new island in the Midlands. The rain's disrupting rail services and all sorts of journeys, but the focus now is on water levels in Nottinghamshire. Dan Johnson, BBC News.
A major incident has been declared in Nottinghamshire after heavy rain caused the River Trent to flood. The council says residents in the most at-risk areas should be prepared to evacuate their homes, with river levels predicted to hit a record high. And there are fears there could be flooding in the south of England tonight with more torrential rain. Ian Woods has the latest.
It's not just the deluge from Storm Henk this week which has caused scenes like this. Heavy rain throughout the autumn has left the ground saturated. These football pitches are fit only for water polo. Nottinghamshire County Council declared a major incident. Its headquarters overlooks the River Trent, which is likely to burst its banks.
There are people who need to be on alert down the River Trent in particular because the levels are still rising, and I know there are district councils are already evacuating some people in anticipation or as a precaution, hopefully.
It wasn't just a precaution which forced residents here out. Homes alongside the river are already flooded. Summer must seem a long way away for them.
To get the fire brigade, we have to evacuate some people. Some people don't want to leave, but some people had to leave because we've got a lot of disabled people, elderly people in the park, and we sort of managed to get them out and sorted.
So why wouldn't you leave?
Because I've got a cat that you can just see there behind me and 2 chickens, and we didn't want to leave them behind. They said they would put them in the RSPCA, but we've got 2 elderly chickens and we knew that the stress wouldn't do them any good.
The Met Office has issued a yellow rain warning for much of the south of England, with up to 50 millimetres predicted to fall in the space of 9 hours.
If you do get a flood warning, please follow that and the action taken. So have a grab pack ready with any medicines and insurance documents ready to leave the house. Know how to turn off your gas and electric. And if you are in immediate danger, please call 999.
Agriculture has been particularly badly affected. In Somerset, with fields underwater, there's nowhere for the dairy herd to graze.
I don't think I can remember a winter quite as wet or where it's gone on for as long as this. We've had unprecedented amount of rain.
And feeding the animals isn't the only concern. The milk they produce may have to be discarded if tankers can't deliver it because roads are impassable.
We've been warned that there'll be a flood again tomorrow, so at the moment there's no end to it.
There's a warning of major disruption to road and to rail services until the downpours finally subside. Ian Woods, ITV News.
Well, flood-hit farmers are calling on the government to invest more in river defences in rural areas because the production of food is being put at risk. Thousands of acres of crops and productive farmland are now sitting under floodwater left by Storm Henk. The National Farmers Union says that farmers who are expected to let fields of crops flood to protect towns should also be compensated. Our Rural Affairs correspondent Claire Marshall reports.
Here in Oxfordshire, a glimpse of the struggle that some farmers have had to save their livestock. This is the area at first light today. Another farmer has 60 acres underwater.
So this is normally field?
Yes, yeah. This should all be planted in wheat. Should have been planted last autumn, but obviously it was just too wet. And now it's flooded. Probably another 8 weeks until we'll be able to get on it. That's if it doesn't rain again.
Tell me the impact that this kind of flooding has on you and your business.
It'll cost thousands. I need every piece of land to pay because I have to pay rent. I'm not the only farmer around here who's been flooded, but you know, it all goes into the food chain.
But not now.
Not now.
Storm Henk has left water sitting on vast tracts of land. The National Farmers Union is calling for the government to provide better protection. The Environment Secretary Steve Barclay told the BBC that the government was already investing heavily in flood defences.
The work that the government has done has protected over 500,000 acres of farmland, and of course we're committing more money to future schemes as well, so over £5 billion of investment.
But where is this money best spent? Some believe it should go into changing how the land is used.
Should fields and landscapes like this just be allowed to flood?
With climate change the way it's going, we're not really going to have a choice. A little bit of dredging of the main river will not solve the challenges that the farms now have. But that can't be done unless there's proper value being paid. You are going to get farms going out of business if they're not being rewarded for that nature-based solution of holding the water back.
As the earth gets hotter, our winters are likely to get even wetter, and scenes like this even more common. The question is whether enough will be done in time to help the most vulnerable. Claire Marshall, BBC News, Oxfordshire.
We'll have the weather forecast in just a moment. But first of all, Ben, I want to ask you, why have we had so many storms this winter causing this flooding?
Yes, you can see the effects of the flooding here, Rita. What we know is that because of climate change, rainfall events, when they do happen, are more intense. Warmer air can hold more moisture, and so when these storm systems move through, those rain events are more intense. The rain is heavier. That's why we've seen flooding. It fits the pattern we would expect with climate change. Now, what we've had so far this month is a strong and powerful jet stream that's been bringing weather systems our way. That's why we've had such stormy weather. But if you're looking for a change, this pattern in the jet stream here, the jet stream heading to the north, would allow higher pressure and something drier, thankfully.